And so, Dan, this is what I believe. I believe that this administration, in less than 30 days, in the midst of a massive collapse, in particularly a collapse in public opinion. Della Volpe at Harvard, who's very good. I used to think, once I saw a Harvard youth poll, I discounted it. I've come to say it's a pretty damn good poll. Pretty good guy. He's gone from 53 approval to under 30 to 39. That's a collapse.
Over 1 month later.
Points. So when you compare Trump against himself, he's actually closer to the apex than he is to the bottom of the trough. And of course, that's so important because Donald Trump, historically speaking, has had his numbers underestimated. So I think it's very important to compare him to himself to understand he's actually more popular now than he was when he won, or certainly where he was at this point back in his first term. The bottom line is Trump is more towards the ceiling than he is towards the floor.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about Democrat operative James Carville, who I find to be a very, very, very fascinating figure in politics. And the reason why is because people kind of look at him as a guru, right? As somebody who knows what he's talking about when it comes to politics, even though he has just been wrong, like very, very, very wrong lately. Like, for example, he thought that Kamala would win the election. He was super wrong about that. I think this guy is just shooting from the hip, to be honest with you. I don't think he is somebody that actually has the answers for the Democratic Party at this point. And it's funny because theoretically, he should have the answers, right? He was the guy that was allegedly the engineer behind Bill Clinton's 1992 campaign victory when the Democrats were a sane party. So theoretically, he should actually have the answers for the Democrats. But I think the reason why he doesn't have the answers is because, one, he's Trump deranged, okay? So he's not thinking properly, okay? And two, I think he's afraid of the far left, right? He doesn't actually really come out and push back against the far left the way that I think he knows that he should, that the Democrats have to do if they want to revive their party, right? I think those are the problems, okay? He's afraid of the far left and he's Trump deranged, and this is why he tends to be wrong. And also, I don't think he has the answers for the Democrats, okay? And this segment right here I want to talk about is James Carville being wrong about the Trump administration collapsing, okay? A little over 30 days ago, this guy predicted that within 30 days, the Trump administration would collapse, particularly when it comes to public opinion. Now, fast forward 30 days, and as you guys saw at the beginning of this video, even CNN admitted that, hey, Trump's closer to the ceiling than the bottom. And in regards to people feeling like the country is going in the right direction, Trump has the highest rating that we've seen in the last 20 years, right? Since Bush's second term in 2004, we haven't had this many people feel like, hey, the country's going in the right direction, right? So I think generally speaking, people agree with what President Trump is doing in regards to what he's trying to do. Now, in regards to how he's actually doing it, that's a different question. But in regards to just the overall agenda, what he wants to do, people agree with it, okay? And people generally feel like we're on the right track, and that's where we're at, okay? So James Carville is going to be confronted by Michael Smerconish on CNN for being wrong, right? Absolutely wrong about his prediction. And his cope here is pretty funny to me. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
He's a veteran political consultant, co-host of the Politics War Room podcast, and the man behind Bill Clinton's 1992 campaign victory. So a month ago, here's the full quote of what you wrote, James, in the Times. At this rate, the honeymoon, the Trump honeymoon, will be over. Best case by Memorial Day, but more likely in the next 30 days. And in November of 2025, we start turning the tide with what will be remembered as one of the most important elections in recent years, the Virginia governor's race. You know that we extended this invitation to you a month ago when you first wrote those words, because we thought, what will Carville say when that deadline comes? What are you thinking?
Well, what tense are we in? Is it collapsing or has it collapsed? That's the only argument to have. And I was wrong. I said Memorial Day. It's before April Fool's Day, which the Trump administration should make a national holiday because it so accurately represents who they are. So I'm not really, we're not arguing when we look at what's happening in the markets. We look at what happened on Sigelgate. We look at what's happening all around us, treating measles with apricot pits or something like that. I think the thing is collapsed, but I'll go to you. Let's take the middle ground here and say it's collapsing, and I'll meet you halfway.
AKA COPE, right? COPE. Oh, well, it hasn't collapsed, but it's collapsing. Well, you said 30 days, brother, right? You said it would collapse within 30 days. That's what you said, okay? Didn't happen. In fact, again, the American people at this point feel we're going in the right direction more so than any point over the last 20 years, okay, since Bush's second term. So we're talking about Obama, Biden, right? During their terms, the American people did not feel like we're going in the right direction as much as they feel like we're going in the right direction right now under President Trump. So, again, I don't know what this dude is talking about, right? I have no idea what he's talking about. Okay, he's talking about the market. Okay, the S&P 500 is down 6%. There's a little bit of volatility, and inflation's already coming down. Now, let's hope that inflation continues to go down, right? Over the next few months, the inflation report is going to be extremely, extremely, extremely important, right? But if inflation continues to go down, then understand that we're on the right track, right? Even though, again, there may be some volatility associated with inflation going down, but Trump is doing what he has to do in order to force inflation to go down. But the economy was bad when Biden got in office. President Trump is currently in the process of fixing that economy, right? And again, that's going to require a period of volatility. So when you talk about the economy, let's be real. We can't really judge until next year, right? Right before the midterms is about the time in which people should be judging, okay, what Trump has done when it comes to the economy, because I think that this is a part of the plan to turn the economy around. But again, we're going to have some volatility, right? We're going to have to force Jerome Powell's hand, right? That's what is going to have to happen, right? And when that happens, plus the GOP supply side stimulus, yeah, best believe we're going to experience growth like we've never seen before in this country. I am very confident about what the Trump administration is doing when it comes to the economy. I'm not even worried because I understand what really matters is not today, but next year, right? Again, particularly right before the midterms. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute here. But Signalgate, right? Signalgate. Okay, well, what happened with Signalgate? Did anybody die? No, right? So if Afghanistan, in which we had 13 heroes die because of the Biden administration and their incompetence, if that didn't collapse the Biden administration, why would Signalgate collapse the Trump administration, right? Again, it's crazy how this works. Notice how these people exaggerate all of the things that happened during the Trump administration in regards to the negative consequences. Oh, Signalgate is the end of Trump. His administration is collapsing. It's such a big scandal. And I'm like, again, if Afghanistan did not collapse the Biden administration, how in the world is Signalgate going to collapse the Trump administration? It doesn't make sense. But if you look at the issue that people care about the most outside the economy, which is immigration, illegal immigration, President Trump has done an outstanding job, okay? We've never seen anything like it before. Effectively, illegal immigration has halted, right? Nobody's getting in the country because Trump has militarized the border, right? He's effectively sealed the border shut, okay? We have people self-deporting, leaving the country themselves, right? Even liberals, okay, are leaving too, which is great, amazing, right? We have people self-deporting. We have a mass deportation operation that is currently happening, okay? President Trump is fulfilling his promise. So, again, when you look at the two most important issues, again, nobody in their right mind can judge President Trump on the state of the economy, considering how he just got in office, right? And it's going to take time. It's going to take at least a year for people to really feel the effects or be able to judge in a fair way President Trump's economic agenda, right? So, again, he can't really be pulled down that much by the state of the economy because I think most people understand that's going to take time. But when it comes to the other issue that people care about the most, illegal immigration, again, outstanding. So what you have here on the two most important issues for the Trump administration in his first 2 to 3 months, the economy, wait and see, the border, outstanding job, right? So again, I feel like this is why you're not seeing the collapse that James Carville predicted because these people are out of touch. They make everything that President Trump does to be some type of huge scandal that is going to end his administration, and that's just simply not the case, okay? President Trump has lived through the 24/7 Trump deranged media cycle, and I think that they're just not as effective as they used to be. I think the American people understand what's happening, and they're fairly judging what's happening at this point in time, okay? So let's continue.
But that's about all.
So Harry Enton, I really respect his opinion. He crunches numbers for us here at CNN, and he spoke to Trump and right track, wrong track numbers. Let's roll the clip and then have James respond. Go ahead.
Sure.
All we talk about is how unpopular Donald Trump is. But in reality, he's basically more popular than he was at any point in term number one, and more popular than he was when he won election back in November of 2024.
I mean, James, to have these numbers and be any other newly inaugurated president, you'd be regarded as a disaster. But for him, doesn't Harry have a point? His base is holding, and as compared to his other numbers, he's doing quite well.
Well, ultimately, at the end of the day, again, people got to understand the context of these numbers. This is with a 24/7 Trump deranged, negative Trump news cycle, right? That is what we're working with here, right? So in reality, his numbers are probably much higher. Okay, again, this is why the polls were wrong. Most polls underestimated how well Trump would do during the election because, again, this is with a 24/7 Trump deranged news cycle, right? So again, these polls are skewed just by default because if they cover President Trump fairly, then his numbers will probably be a lot higher, right? Let's be real. So that and the rigging of the polls in of themselves, okay, I think is what depresses President Trump's numbers, right? The real numbers are probably much higher, to be honest with you.
Well, he's a mathematical genius. He knows algorithms. He knows regression analysis. He can look at things. Myself, I'm a humble political consultant. What I look at is election returns. Yeah, voters voting. If you notice, Trump couldn't put Stefanik as UN ambassador because they were scared they were going to lose a district that Trump carried by 20. I'm going to read the election returns in Wisconsin on Tuesday night. I'm not going to do a regression analysis or anything or complicated mathematical formula. So I guess what it comes down to, I'm just too dumb because I'm a guy that believes that winning elections is the most important thing there is in the United States.
When you wrote in the Times and you spoke of rolling over and playing dead, you said, allow the Republicans to crumble beneath their own weight and make the American people miss us. But if the approval rating of the Democratic Party is at 29%, according to CNN's data, who's missing Democrats right now? They might be upset with Trump, but who's really missing the Democrats?
Well, first of all, this is a glorious opportunity for the Democratic Party to redefine itself. To take this as what it is, and apparently some people in the news media are not, is the gravest crisis we've had in the United States in the last 80 years. You understand what we're looking at? We're looking at the kind of end of the rule of law. We're looking at nincompoops and blockheads and buffoons running the country. And if Democrats, and again, I had no idea. I thought I'd have to wait longer for the imminent collapse. It happened even faster than I could imagine. So I don't know exactly what we're arguing about. They won't run in a plus 20 district. I don't think they're going to do that well in Wisconsin. Let's see what happens in Florida. But you got people that represent states and congressional districts that have a 15, 20 or more partisan lean to the Democrats, and they're kind of motor mouth caucus. You know, get elected governor of Georgia, then I'll be impressed. Or do as my friend Andy Beshear did, get elected governor of Kentucky, then come back and see me. But
okay,
I do think the party can redefine itself.
Still staying focused now on your side of the aisle. Here's what Governor Newsom said last night to Bill Maher. Roll it.
We just have to continue to talk to ourselves, or we're in the same damn echo chamber. These guys are crushing us. The Democratic brand is toxic right now. We had a high water mark 2 weeks ago, and that was a CNN poll at 29% favorability. It's dropped in the NBC poll down to 27%. It's one thing to make noise, but you also have to make sense.
He says the Democratic brand is toxic right now. What are Democrats doing to fill the vacuum or the void that Trump is leaving open?
Well, let's see how toxic it is in Wisconsin. All right. I mean, the toxicity is relative to your opponents. The second thing is, I'm not going to get bent out of shape about the party rating in March of an odd number year. Let's see what happens in Virginia. Let's see what happens when you have these really, really talented people run for president. This whole thing is, and the Democrats, they had 27. What they going to do? They have a chance to redefine themselves, to talk about issues that matter to people, and get away from this idiocy, plus 25 Democratic identity politics, which hurt us more than anything. But I think we're away from that. And I think you see some real talent. But it doesn't matter what the party rating is. What matters are elections. I cannot drive that point home enough. There did a movie about me, and I love the title. Winning is everything, stupid. And the reason people don't like the Democrats is we didn't win. And until we win, I'm not going to like the Democrats.
Yeah. So let me explain why this dude is just off, right, on some things, okay? First and foremost, he claims that the party has turned the corner in regards to redefining themselves away from identity politics. That's just not true, right? That is just not true. Objectively, just not true. Okay, no. The Democrat Party, they're turning towards being more woke, right? Listen to Tim Walz, who was Kamala Harris's vice president. They want to double and triple down on the lunacy that lost them the election in 2024. That is where the Democrats are right now. This is why they want to get rid of Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and all of the other corporate Democrats who are far left, but they're not far left enough, right? They want to get rid of those Democrats. That is where the party's at right now. James Carville is in denial, right, about the current state of the Democrats, okay? He's hoping that the Trump administration is so bad that people will run back to Democrats, but it's not going to happen, right? It's not going to happen. And one of the reasons why it's not going to happen is for the same reason he is trying to excuse the horrible, historically horrible approval rating of the Democrat Party, which is that it's only March. It's only March, right? So when it comes to Democrats, well, it doesn't matter what Democrat approval is right now. What matters is when people start voting. That's what matters. Well, how come that same logic doesn't apply to the Trump administration? Who right now, the only thing that's weighing President Trump down is Biden's economy. That's it, right? Having to deal with Biden's economy. But a year from now, when Biden's economy is no more and it actually becomes President Trump's economy and things are much better, I think that his approval is going to skyrocket, right? It's going to skyrocket to levels that we've never seen before. I mean, they already are, right, at those levels, to be honest with you, but they're going to only continue to go up. They're going to go up. So, to me, I personally think for the president in office right now doesn't really matter that much. The only reason that right now kind of matters is because of these special elections. But here's the thing. Democrats were performing well in the special elections leading up to the 2024 election. You guys remember after 2022, how when the red wave was actually just a red trickle, right? It didn't happen the way that people thought. And then Democrats were also winning the special elections in between 2022 and 2024. Democrats are winning, and how essentially everybody said, well, that means that in 2024, Democrats are probably going to do very well, right? That's what people thought, but that didn't happen. It turns out that you can't really judge how major elections are going to go in the future based off special election results, right? And what's happening right now is that I think President Trump is playing it safe when it comes to maintaining the GOP's majority in the House, right? They have a very slim majority and they can't really afford to lose any seats, okay? And there are questions about Mike Waltz's district and Randy Fine, who is running in place of Mike Waltz, and whether or not he can win as easily as he should win due to the fact that the Democrat candidate is significantly outraising Randy Fine, right? So we don't want to lose that seat and then turn around and get shocked in Elise Stefanik's district, that special election in New York, because, again, that could swing the House majority, right? We don't want that to happen, which would ultimately stifle President Trump's agenda altogether, right? So what they're doing with Stefanik is more of having like a backup plan and saying, you know what, we don't really want to risk losing a majority in the House. Let's just play it safe because we need this majority, right? It's super slim. So again, that doesn't mean that, oh, well, Republicans are already panicking and that the world is falling and they're collapsing because they're trying to play it safe and to make sure that they can pass President Trump's agenda, right? Which again, the elections that actually really matter is going to be the 2026 midterms, right? That is what's really going to matter, okay? And I personally think that things are going to be much better, okay, before the midterms, especially when it comes to the economy. And when that happens, it's over for Democrats, right? Because Democrats will still be woke, right? They'll still be fighting each other over whether or not they should be more woke. And as long as they continue to be the party of being Trump deranged, how silly is it going to look for them when the economy is in a much better state, but yet they're still raging against Trump, right? It's just going to look bad. It's going to look real bad. And I really don't think that Democrats are going to be able to recover. I think this bet that things are going to be so terrible during the Trump administration that Democrats are going to rise from the dead is a bad bet for a lot of reasons, okay? And the main reason being is because the Democrat Party is terrible. They're not going to become more moderate, which is what they should do. They're not going to. They're only going to become more progressive and deranged. And I think that, again, if the economy gets better, they're not going to have an answer, right? They're not going to have an answer. They're not going to. So I don't think that you can draw any real conclusions from these special elections, unlike James Carville, right? He thinks that you should better draw some conclusion if Democrats happen to overperform, which, again, they've been overperforming in special elections for a while now. And the main reason for that is because the GOP underperforms when Trump is not on the ballot, right? So, again, my hope is that in the next year or so, right, maybe a year and a half, right before the midterms, things are going to be much better when it comes to the economy. And if that happens, I mean, that is essentially the bet that you have to make. Then I think that the GOP is going to be in great shape, right? And I don't see the Democrats getting any better. Again, this is why they're relying on Trump collapsing, right? Because the Democrats aren't going to get better. They're just going to get worse. The key for President Trump, again, is what the economy is going to be like a year from now. And that is essentially where we're at, okay? But James Carville is wrong, right? His administration has not collapsed. And instead of just owning the fact that he was wrong, he's coping, right? He's coping. When, you know, I personally think he should be more concerned about his own party, right? And the fact that the progressives are taking over and they will continue to push their divisive identity politics that even James Carville knows, okay? He's acknowledged, he's admitted, yeah, that's part of the reason why they lost, right? And that's not going away. To pretend as if it's going away in the Democrat Party is James Carville refusing to acknowledge reality, okay? I mean, I think his Trump derangement is cope for the fact that the Democrats have basically no real direction right now except more far left, which means that their approval rating is probably going to continue to decline. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.